Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Dinks with Kinks. I am your host, John Undero, and with me as always, just somebody who you think just would be used to just all the punishment that they get all day long. And they'd be like, I take no more. And then she goes, but I want it. Miss Rebecca.
I mean, you're not wrong. Hello, everyone.
And a man who'll never get tired of doling out said punishment, Mr. Shep.
All right. Good evening.
Before we get into tonight's episode, I do want to remind everybody that we are in fact on that social media at Dinks with Kinks on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Reach out to us, add stuff to our links. Like tonight's episode was suggested by a fan. And it was
fan mail.
It's fan mail, yeah. And it's probably because they could find zero information about this kink. And do you know how I could tell this? Because I could find zero information about this kink other than it exists.
Fan fetishes.
But let's go ahead and let's bust some heads. Let's take the first step on our downward journey into Climacophilia.
I think we're going to tumble through this information.
I know. Oh, you beat me to it. Damn it.
And of course, we're talking about Climacophilia, which is not weather-based. You know, I was thinking with the clima, I was like, oh, we're going to do some like weather-based phenomenon, like getting really aroused by storm. But this is actually a phobia of falling downstairs.
Not a phobia. Fetish.
Fetish for falling downstairs. I'm sorry. I've been reading a lot of medical journals today.
See what you get when you learn yourself shit. That's what you get.
I know. Well, it is actually the arousal, and the reason I said phobia earlier, and kind of hint at what we're going to be talking about tonight. But since there's not a lot of information, let's talk about this for a little bit. But I really want to dive into philia versus phobia. Because there's a whole list of phobia, philia. Some people have a phobia for it. Some people have a philia for it.
Don't forget when you dive, always tuck your head to protect your neck.
Because Climacophilia is the fear of going upstairs and falling.
I can see that though.
Yeah. Oh, how many of us have ever wandered up a flight of stairs before and it's like, I'm going to fall. Or you take that one step, you think there's a step, and there's not.
Oh, that's the worst. It's the worst. Oh, that feeling's awful.
And your heart drops. And you're like, this is how I die. This is it. This is it for me.
Yeah.
Newspaper's going to read, 2023, John dies by falling downstairs.
This is how I die. Oh, no.
No,
this is how I get horny, how you die, apparently.
John. Yes, it's exactly how you get horny.
this is how I get horny.
This is how you get hard.
Absolutely. So, when we say there's literally a fetish for everything, there is literally a fetish for everything. Sex is like physics. For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Erection. Yes.
Yeah. Erection. Oh, yeah. For every action, there's an opposite and equal erection about it.
Erection. Yes.
And we've talked about stuff like this before in the past when we've covered clown fetish. Because we all know about phobias of clowns.
Phobias of clowns. Yeah.
It's just the concept of if someone can be afraid of it, someone absolutely can be turned on by it. And the real science behind this is are they aroused by the fear? Do they have the phobia and that adrenaline arouses them? Or does their body react wholly different chemically? And in place of sending the adrenaline, the fight or flight, they send the endorphins that create arousal. What do you guys think?
I think it's very much like pain, like masochism with pain. A lot of people don't. You get hit when the impact is still the same. The chemicals in your body reacts, that all of that is released is the same, except for a masochist, that chemical goes, ooh, I like that. And then the chemical makes him go, ouch, I don't like that. Like, I feel it's very similar in that aspect. And it really just depends on the person.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's talk this right now. What are your fears? Do you either one of you have a phobia, or what are you scared of? Everybody's scared of something.
I absolutely have a phobia. I have a very large phobia, and here's the thing: I have a phobia, but I think that they're beautiful, and it's like this. It's this love-hate relationship. But I have a phobia of snakes. I absolutely 100% phobia of snakes. Yet I still think that they're beautiful creatures, but I absolutely, like, I will cry. I will cry, even though they're like, oh, it's not, it's just a, no, I will cry. Absolutely cry.
You have the Indiana Jones phobia.
Yeah.
Indy hates snakes. And I actually knew this because we had a channel reward when we live stream. All throughout the week at twitch.tv/thedondera. You can come check out Things with Kink live. One of the rewards was Spawn Snake. And it was a very cute thing, and it had a snake slithering across the screen. And you would just shut down. You'd be like, I can't, I'm done.
I literally would close my eyes, or I'd cover my eyes. I would cover my eyes. I couldn't even watch the screen, and you had to tell me when it was over. I
had to go get an 8-bit snake.
And that snake's cute. I'm like, alright with it. And I've had to do designs. Like, I had some people ask actually for me to design some stuff with snakes. And I think that visually, like, I think that they're beautiful creatures. I am just absolutely terrified of them. And I honestly, I have, expose yourself to them. I have absolutely tried. I have tried. Yeah. I just can't get over it.
Flash naked some snakes?
Phobias can't be helped. What about you, Shep? What are you afraid of? And it doesn't have to be a phobia. Just, what are you afraid of?
Oh, I was about to say, I don't have any phobias. Fears, I guess. I think watching like spelunking and stuff like that, I get a little fearful whenever they're squeezing those tight spaces.
Claustrophobia.
But you might get stuck in them.
Yeah, that gives me anxiety. I'm not really fearful of it, but it does watching those situations. I get anxiety filled. I have two interesting ones. I'm gonna tell you the first one. I don't like the idea of looking outside a window at night.
Really?
I don't want to see something. Yeah, I don't want to see something I shouldn't see. Like, I'm terrified that, like, I'm gonna look out the window and there's like an alien or a monster or something like that, and it's gonna be like, oh, you saw me? I'm coming for you. And to my core, when I was a child, I would not sleep in a room if the bed was next to a window, because I was just like, no, cannot do it. Cannot sleep next to a window. I do not like, and as an adult now, I'm like, I will not look at a window at night.
Huh. That's interesting.
And sock monkeys. Sock monkeys just creep me the hell out.
I feel like I knew that one. Like, sock monkeys. Like, yeah.
It's gotten better. It got better after I did have total immersion on that one by letting it slip that sock monkeys creep me out, and everybody got me sock monkeys for the next year. So I kind of whittled that one down. But and those are our fears. So now, if you really want to come at us, now you know how.
But not really.
Put us in a tight area underground, and come at us with sock monkey snakes.
Put me in something tight.
But I find it interesting how closely linked phobias and philias are. Like,
absolutely.
People, it's just fascinating.
Well, it just boiled down to our brain chemistry, and again, some things can just be wired or triggered at that right time, because so many people's trauma become their sexual triggers in their later years.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm saying just like a distinct phobia. One of them is Phobia. It's actually the fear of stairs. And so perhaps someone that has a...
Climacophilia?
No. Well, they're very specific from each other. Because Climacophilia is the one where, you
fall.
Yeah, fear of falling and all that kind of stuff. But Phobia is the fear of actual stairs themselves. Not the action of falling or anything else, but stairs.
Stairs.
Yes.
So, wow. Huh.
Yes. And so, with that one, it's almost like in some the ways you look at it, maybe the act of falling down the stairs or seeing people fall, it's almost like a way of conquering that particular fear of the stairs themselves. So it's a sexual arousal or gratification.
Oh.
Depending on how your brain wires it.
I feel like it's the same with like feet. Like we talked about that, and we talked about like how somewhere it gets switched. The
aversion versus fetish.
Right.
Because we did, during the feet episode, we talked about there are people out there who absolutely, they have a hardcore fetish, and then there's people out there who have such an aversion to feet, they're like, I can't even see them. Feet, to my core, upset me. They don't scare me, but they upset me. And
well, I had the same thing happen to me too. I had this phobia, well, not phobia, but fear of people touching my neck, because I saw somebody get choked and assaulted when I was younger, like little. And so people would touch my, and I would go into full blown anxiety attack. But now I freaking choke me, daddy. It happens over time. Something happens, and it did as a kid and as a teenager, I was like, don't touch my neck, and somewhere along the way, something when I matured, some chemical went, yeah, you like this now. Not only do you like it, you love it.
And as Shep was saying earlier, trauma based, but there's some also phobias that develop no trauma related. Just your brain attached that sight to, or that sight and sensation to your fear receptors. Because like I said, yeah, there are people who have phobias. Like if you get bit by a dog, you may never trust dogs again because you associate your bad experience and your body recalls that. But there's a lot of people out there who have phobias that have no basis in experience. Their body just connected those two, and a lot of those people are the same people who develop fetishes, because there are many phobias, just like fetishes, that cannot be helped. I have this phobia, and like you said, Rebecca, no amount of immersion, no amount of therapy is ever going to make you not afraid of them. Did you have a bad snake experience?
I did.
Were you scared of them beforehand?
I wasn't. I wasn't I didn't ooh, yeah, I didn't love them, but I wasn't terrified of them. And then I grew up in the country, and I ran around barefoot as a little kid all the time. And I was running out of my house at night. It was during the summer, and a copperhead, a very large well, it might have not have been large, but I mean, for a 7-year-old, it was large. And it was, because it was hot out, it was draped across the bottom brick stair right outside my house to cool down. And had I not looked down, I literally was hovering on it. I was just, going outside, and I looked down and I saw this huge snake, and almost stepped on a copperhead. And then my grandmother came out and she took care of it. And so, yeah, very traumatic experience as a kid, and I haven't messed with it since.
Oh no, absolutely. And like I said, a lot of times, phobias can be triggered of real world experiences, but also just chemically connected in your brain, just like fetishes. A lot of times, fetishes can be traced back to key pivotal moments in your life when you were developing, and then you were having this attachment attached here to there through your brain chemistry, or maybe a stunning experience like Rebecca, you said about choking. Now you kind of developed that fetish, and you just kind of flipped a set to it.
Yes.
The one thing I really love about fear and arousal are they essentially chemically the same thing.
I can see that. Absolutely see that. A lot of people get very turned on after they get scared. Like, scary movies. That's why a lot of times, like, you watch scary movies with when you're wanting to get busy with somebody, because you get scared, and now all of a sudden you get horny. You don't realize how horny you get, and you're like, hey, what's up?
Fear, the new Viagra.
Well, right? it's honestly the adrenaline. We have talked before about the female orgasm, where it is not just necessarily stimulation, but it's also stimulation and stimulation upon stimulation.
Right.
Between getting your mind wandering, your heart rate up, and then having physical stimulation to certain areas. So, step one, get your adrenaline up. Fear, boom, your adrenaline's already flying. Get your mind wandering. You are now, after a scare, you are no longer alarmed, so you're now think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts, think happy thoughts. So you're cascading in that department. Right. Now all you have to do is throw in some pheromones, and everybody's ready to go. Tunnels of Love. Do you guys remember the old Tunnel of Loves? And you see them in shows and whatnot. They were haunted houses. They were scary. They were spook show rides.
Really?
Yeah. They would pop out and scare you, and you'd jump into your partner's arms. You'd be like, "Oh,
that's interesting."
Scared me.
See, now you're teaching her new things, and she's gonna go from "choke me, daddy" to "scare me, daddy."
Well, it triggered two things. Like a lot of men go, "Oh, my woman's scared, and I get to protect them." So now I'm releasing testosterone because I get to protect my partner. Females,
manly man.
Manly man. But that also releases pheromones. Females who have, the jump scare happen to them, their heart rate elevates, their mind goes wild, and then they are doused in male pheromone, or their partner's pheromone. It's literally a perfect storm of we gonna bang later, chemically.
Oh yeah.
So if you really want to cycle it down, haunted houses and tunnel of loves are scientifically proven to cause arousal in the right person.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, right.
So falling down stairs is a fear, but releases the same adrenaline that can turn you on. So, ta-da! Full circle.
It is 100% a full circle effort. Anytime you have any sort of fear reaction, you could also have the equal and opposite reaction. Or maybe it's not both. Maybe it's, I have no fear of falling down the stairs. I just have arousal from it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go in haunted houses and stuff like that, you'd have to get an honorable mention from Spectrophilia. The riled up by ghosts.
Ooh, that should be its whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to add that to the will.
Baby.
But yeah, but stuff like this. This is why I love this podcast, and this is why I kind of love talking kink. It's because when you really scrape it all away,
strap it down,
just strap it down. You peel all the layers off. You're like ogre onion in this thing, breaking them layers off like an onion or an ogre. And you find the core. It's just basic human chemistry, and how the human mind works. What connects to what? Like, are your neurons firing? Does your neuron go left and it creates a fear response, or does your neuron go right and turn you on? When we talked about the clown phobia and clown arousal, people who have the clown arousal don't have the phobia.
Or
absolutely.
there's also the 1, 2, and maybe 3 that we've never really talked about, I think. Erotic compulsion.
Erotic compulsion? What's that?
It's really literally the compulsion to do the sexual act. Like, it's not just a thought or want, you're really compulsed to do it.
That should be its own episode right there.
Well, I mean, that's more of an aspect. It's not a fetish. It's just...
Yeah.
It's a very compulsive act, you know?
That would be a great thing to talk about on our live stream, which happens every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/The Dondero.
Yeah.
Did you have to think about that, John? You were you were like...
I did.
But yeah,
I had to remember my last name for a hot second.
Oh, okay.
I think with this one, though, I'm going to stick with putting the positive spin on this one, since there's so much that can go wrong with this one. Is that it's almost like people are conquering their fear of the stairs themselves. And so that's why they're getting turned on, because they're in the act of empowering themselves and overcoming that fear of stairs.
I don't know. Because I have yet to be able to find someone with this fetish, I don't know if it's a conquer, create, or like the clown phobia.
Or a little
just
bit of everything.
you have either or. Like, I have zero fear of falling down the stairs. In fact, I just have arousal. A great one is one of my fetishes, quicksand.
Huh.
Most people would be absolutely terrified to be in quicksand.
Yeah, because it gets in all the cracks.
It gets in all the cracks. Because it's portrayed as a very deadly situation. Very dangerous, very... thing. And, once you learn about it, it's not, but that's not what turns you on. It's the danger aspect of it. The suspension of disbelief, as it were. And then to the dangerous to it, like the Hollywood movies where, it's going to suck me down to my doom. That's what turns you on. That should terrify most people. That absolutely should alarm people to such an avail that they have zero arousal. I have zero fear of that. Even before I understood the principle of it, I did not care.
Yeah.
I had zero fear of it.
And speaking of the dangerous and stuff like that, we should talk about that, because this is literally falling down the stairs or watching people falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
and for full disclosure, this one is one of those ones that's on the illegal fringe, as it were. So if you get caught by law enforcement or something like that, you will probably be taken away and be treated for stuff. So this one you want to be very careful of not only doing but expressing. I think I thought up the best way to experience it in the most safe manner, though, in the greatest way possible.
Yeah.
Because it's not just falling downstairs, it's actually the act of watching people fall downstairs. So what better way to watch it in a more wholesome sense than watching Looney Tunes?
I was going to say Home Alone.
I mean, that works too, but
Home Alone. There are so many scenes that the movies do that people fall downstairs.
But especially if you're into cartoons and stuff like that too, though. How many times have the things fallen downstairs? Tom and Jerry alone,
Oh, absolutely. And I will say this, if you have this fetish or this kink, please reach out to us. The hardest part about discussing this, and this is kind of why we went into the phobia versus philia, was 100% we couldn't find enough information. We couldn't find people who enjoyed it. I couldn't even find really porn for it. I know it exists out there.
Yeah.
There's porn for everything.
And super be careful with this one. If you think you might be into it, maybe just try to do a little forward roll down a step or two.
I feel like a lot of people who have this fetish, they know how to pratfall.
I mean, but some people don't think, and they're just going to try to do.
Absolutely.
Audience, and this is not one where you can throw your partner down and claim, I was just trying to do my fetish. No.
Do you think this was like a murder? Okay, hear me out.
Oh, God.
Not a fetish. Absolutely not a fetish. Just an excuse for murder.
I am not going to have an opinion. I am not going to have an opinion on that because I will not have an opinion. I will not have an opinion on that.
That's because we're not going to go into one of the other fetishes that would entail. No.
Yeah. There we go. But if you do have this kink, please reach out to us at Things with Kinks on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, because I want to speak to you. I want to learn more about this fetish. I don't feel like we could properly do it justice just because we couldn't find information on it. And I know you're out there. Hopefully you're listening to this podcast. Or if you know somebody, tell them about the podcast. We need more people to be like, hey, do you guys like learning stuff? Do you like talking about kink in a comical manner that's also educational?
Right.
You should listen to this podcast. It's a fun podcast. Everyone likes this podcast.
Well, I hope they like this podcast.
I think they do.
There are days I can take or leave it, but most of the time.
Oh, hush, Shep. All right. Do we have a wheel?
We do. I'm pulling it up right now.
So excited.
Any last thoughts on phobia versus philia?
I scare arousal's a thing, and I think it's fascinating how it's just a simple, it's a chemical reaction, and it just depends on the where the chemicals lie in your brain. I think it's fascinating, just like anything with the brain, just like sexuality, arousal, fear, it all is just these mishmash and different percentages of chemicals that affect everyone differently, and I find that fascinating. So
absolutely. Sorry, I have to delete some stuff off the wheel because the one I have on this device is not updated. I'm like, we don't need to cover what we just covered like last week twice, because we'll do it, we'll forget.
You're right. We'll totally be like, okay, wait, didn't we do that already? Well.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Spinning that wheel. So, yeah, scare arousal, but not just scare arousal, but phobias in general. Like, this person has a phobia, this person has a kink. Are they related? And I would like to get our audience's opinion on that too. So again, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times when we're talking about these things, we're kind of feeding it out to everybody. Like, you're nursing at us, giving us little bits of information, and listen, you can't always suckle at the teat of this podcast.
Is it lactation? Is it lactation?
Well, kind of.
Suckling.
It's more like a milking process, almost a breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah, we're covering breastfeeding next week.
We're covering breast. I mean, you had me there.
Breast.
You had me at breast.
Nope. This is a big difference between breast and breastfeeding. I'm telling you what.
Yes, it is.
Lactation kink is absolutely a thing.
Yes.
The freshest the cream is your coffee's gonna get.
It's gonna be a milky episode, and I'm pretty okay with that. We're gonna milk up the waters. That being said,
really
I am your host. Oh, I'm gonna milk this. I'm gonna milk every bit of that episode.
As he does.
Oh, great.
I'm your host, Sean Andero. With me, as always, is a woman who may make your trouser snake slither in style, but she don't like snakes. Miss Rebecca.
Good night, everyone.
And a man you kind of want in all your tight spaces, Mr. Shep.
Till next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.